I didn't even know I was going to be a website designer. I just knew I had some online skills floating around in there. And I just called people and literally asked out of nowhere, like, is there anything you need for me? When I see business has 250 plus 5-star reviews on Google, but they don't have digital scheduling and they're piecemealed on 5 different software platforms, that is gold to me. I've been at HighLevel specifically for 4 solid years and teaching people what I know and bringing on clients and building out for them. And we're barely just now niching down. So many people in my audience are like, well, which one should we build on? And I'm like, just go get a client. Like, that's the first step. Then we'll talk about it. Don't be focusing on things that don't matter too much. Like, go get the client, and then I'll guide you when you're ready for that part.
I was in management for decades, and every job I ever had, they always wanted to promote me to management.
If you're looking for your next website client, don't discredit businesses that already have websites, but those websites are not working for them. You never know until you reach out. You might think, oh, that looks modern, but is it actually doing anything? Does it have growth tools behind it? Are they, when you look at it and you see that there's scheduling on a calendar, or they have some sort of portal that people have to log into and there's a ton of friction, and you realize they're piecemealing 5, 6 different tools together, you never know until you reach out.
It's a no-brainer to them. If you told me that I could increase my sales by 70% by investing $20,000, I'm listening. I'll figure out where to get the $20,000 from. But I'm listening, because that is going to solve a problem that's going to increase my sales. All right. Welcome, Paige Battcher. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, super fun. I'm glad to be here.
Paige, you're like one of my favorite people in the HighLevel ecosystem. I I remember when we met a few years ago at the summit. I had never even heard of you. I just thought, who is this adorable, like super intelligent female techie that I have to know? And it is so cool to see you blowing up in the HighLevel community. Like, literally this year, and I am sure I'm not naming all of your accomplishments, but this year I've seen you do a workshop with HighLevel. You're speaking on stage. Did you win any awards this time, or is that next year?
That's next year, coming up for it.
All right, I'm excited. So Paige, can you tell a little bit about what you do in HighLevel, who you serve, and how you got started in HighLevel and your agency?
Yeah, no doubt. So I serve business owner clients. I've got them on my white labeled HighLevel SaaS. And we do everything from custom builds to their website, their automation workflows, their AI, their custom fields, custom objects, you name it. We build anything for a system that a business might need. And then I also coach and train other entrepreneurs, a lot of website designers that want to migrate into this digital architecture space and use HighLevel to start charging more upfront for their projects and then build recurring on the back end. So I'd say that's my favorite part, is actually teaching and coaching. How I got into it was 12 years of web design that led to the funnel world, that led to switching platforms a bunch of times, that led to HighLevel.
So, Paige, you have really so much experience that I could really talk to you about all day. But how did you get into web design? Like, what was the very first website that you built? What was the catalyst that got you into that?
Yeah, so I got 2 master's degrees, got out with way too much student loan debt, like an irresponsible amount, and got my first kind of big girl job. I was okay with it, but I knew my income was capped. Long story short, I ended up joining a startup that kind of lied to me. I ended up at the unemployment office, and I saw the out of the corner of my eyes, I saw the Chamber of Commerce, and I went and filed my doing business as license the next day, grabbed a Chamber of Commerce directory and started cold calling. So actually, in fact, some of my first clients cold calling were social media management, videography. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to be my own boss and I could help them with something online.
So you didn't have a website yourself. You didn't have any experience with these things. You just thought, this is what I'm doing. Might as well get started. Is that how it worked?
Kind of, yeah. I'll back it up. When I was a kid, my parents started a franchise called Future Kids. So they taught kids and adults how to use computers before the internet. like the good old Lotus Notes days and like DOS startup screens, that I was part of that and watching my mom build curriculum to teach. And then when I was in high school, my dad said they're developing this thing called the internet. It's going to change our lives. And so I said, okay, what do we do, Dad? And he said, well, you can build these website things. So this was when I was 14 years old and I was learning how to write code, HTML line by line. And you put it, you beamed it up into the FTP worlds and put the file out there, and somehow it was magically on the internet. And I was a kid, so I was building like a fangirl site for my favorite website. And by the way, Bridget, I'm a huge fan of yours. And so, at the time, I would have built like a Bridget fangirl site. And I built it for my favorite TV show at the time. And so, fast forward, I kind of forgot about websites when I went off to college and I got to do study abroad. And they said, we just ask one thing of you to do study abroad and we'll give you this grant, is can you keep a blog when you're gone? And so that was me jumping back in and diving back into the blogger world, the blog spots, the platforms, trying to put together something. And so I built my first website really on my own that meant something to me. It was called Optimism Travels, and it was all of my blog travels. So fast forward, I went to graduate school and they said, here, here's a camera. I got a digital journalism degree. So they're like, well, go to Chinatown. That's your assignment in Los Angeles, and then record a video and put it on a WordPress site. So that was my first intro into WordPress. But when I started my work and my business ownership, right? And I think this is where people get stuck, is I didn't have it perfectly figured out. I didn't even know I was going to be a website designer. I just knew I had some online skills floating around in there. And I just called people and literally asked out of nowhere, like, is there anything you need for me? If they would have said, like, come and, pack, I don't know, like, come and pack coolers for our big game and we're going to pay you this much, I would have been like, well, okay, digital, but anything you need. And so it sort of led from there. And then my first website job was when I realized that videography and social media management were back burner for me, and building websites for clients was where it was at. I actually drove down to San Diego to meet with some guys that I was obsessed with the project they were building. They were real estate developers and they were making this big live work play space in downtown San Diego. And I was having coffee with them, just graduated pretty much, and was saying, hey, do you need anybody to come work for you? And they said, we can't hire full time. But I hear them talking about at lunch that some team quoted them 15 grand to build their website. And I was young and hungry. So I said, I'll do it for 5. And that was my first website project, was building it for them just because I said so at a
So
lunch.
was that the startup that you had mentioned previously?
No, that startup was in the fitness space.
Oh.
That was my way of thinking that I could pay off my loans with somebody else's, W-2 employment. It was a sales commission job, and that did not pan out at all. So, but it led me to deciding to just be on my own, and that was why I went full in.
So on that note of the fitness industry, a lot of people who've previously worked in the fitness industry find that that's a good niche for them in high level. Is that, I mean, do you have any gym clients or any fitness clients?
No, no, and I will say though that my background and my upbringing, I played so many sports. I think that's helped me along the way of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
especially since when you play a team sport, you don't always win.
Mhm.
You lose games, you still have to be excited to play the sport after that. And I think that is kind of our entrepreneurship journey. We don't always win with what we're working on. And interestingly enough, I've been at HighLevel specifically for 4 solid years and teaching people what I know and bringing on clients and building out for them. And we're barely just now niching down. I've served so many different industries. I find it interesting.
Mhm.
And I know if you look at some of the gurus, they'll say, well, that's not productized and that's not scalable. And I think that's where I'm finding myself lately, is remembering that not everybody wants that. And it's okay to build a lifestyle business that serves you.
I love that you talk about lifestyle businesses because I'm all about that. Not everybody wants to have a huge agency and a huge team and all of these things. And I am one of those people. I was in management for decades, and every job I ever had, I'm sure this doesn't surprise you, they always wanted to promote me to management. And it's like, so you want me to work more for not that much more money and
Right.
deal with all of this extra stuff. No way. I had no idea that I needed to be a business owner because
Yeah.
I'm just not that great of an employee in that sense. Like, I'm never going to accept a promotion because I
Mm.
just don't want that much work. But I also think that, I have totally proven that it's so possible for us to build these businesses inside of HighLevel without a team. So
Yeah.
I would love to hear from you, your own experience, like what makes you, because I know you don't have a large team. I think you have team members though.
Yeah. I do.
But
Yeah.
what makes you focus on the lifestyle aspect of it as opposed to, building up a multi-million dollar agency and a large team and all of that? What part of
Yeah.
it fascinates you most?
Yeah, and I gotta say, I mean, I've been following your 4-hour workday trainings, and I'm inspired by what you've created. And I think sometimes people would look at it and think, I remember a well-known woman in the space who was building up her business. She said once that she got on a coaching call and felt bad and was apologizing for not wanting to grow as big. And it was a reminder that it has to fit your lifestyle. So I think in terms of looking at it as less work, sometimes it's looking at it as how do you actually want to serve people? I'm very family oriented. So I would rather have less than 10 clients that come in for the year that are $10,000 to $40,000 projects. I work with them really closely. I know them, I know their families, they know me. We build really nice stuff for them. Bring on some SaaS clients here throughout the year, build that up over time and have those strong relationships, then have, hundreds and hundreds of clients that I never know their name. So, but to each their own. And I really think my team is growing. We've got 4 people right now. But that isn't the end all be all for me. It's not to develop departments that have layers of management under them that would never suit me. It's to have really good people that work intrapreneurial within our organization. So, and for me now too, a big focus is building for the right kind of clients and bringing them on HighLevel, which is setting me up for a future of recurring income. That I look at friends of mine who are website designers that are not working with HighLevel, and they're sort of not embracing the idea of software fees. And I look at what my life is going to look drastically different than theirs in the next 3 to 5 years. The choices I'll get to make because I have that recurring income. And now I'm just so fascinated and inspired by that's why I'm coaching and teaching other people how to do the
Mhm.
same thing.
So you were talking about your client, right? Or your the types of projects. Can you tell me a little bit or tell everyone a little bit about like who is your ideal client? What does that look like? When you talk to a client, what makes your eyes go, yes, or your excitement? What does that client look like?
Yeah. Right now, generally speaking, the clients that get me the most excited, they either have a really innovative product
Mhm.
or service. I'm working right now with a construction equipment company. I never would have thought that I'd be speaking construction equipment, but they have something revolutionary that's literally changing lives. So I love working on that. And then I've got another client. They're just the best in class at what they do.
Mhm.
Like, their service is so great. When I see that a business has 250 plus 5-star reviews on Google, but they don't have digital scheduling and they're piecemealed on 5 different software platforms, that is gold to me. I'm like, you guys are good people serving really good people. Let's get your time back. Let's start collecting more in lifetime customer value. I get jazzed up. So I think it comes down to what the company itself is selling. That's what gets me most excited. And then of course who they are. If we can laugh on a business meeting, that's golden.
Are you a coach or consultant trying to build your business with HighLevel but feeling overwhelmed and overworked? Are you putting in long hours but still struggling to land your first client? You're not alone. Many entrepreneurs believe they just need to work harder. But what if your problem isn't your work ethic, but your lack of a system? I've spent the last 6 years perfecting a system called the Vision Blueprint. It's a structured method to build a successful business with HighLevel without the burnout. Stop the insanity of endless trial and error. Join my free community today and get access to all my tutorials plus live coaching with me 4 days a week. Let me personally guide you as you implement this system and build the life that you want, not just the business. Now, back to the conversation.
Because I started as a web designer, I experienced all the things that you talk about now, about how we get these projects and they're multi thousands of dollars usually. Um, but then the project's over
Yeah.
and we're just kind of searching for the next client. That roller coaster ride was so stressful for me. That's what made me start looking into affiliate marketing, because we didn't have HighLevel at that
Yeah.
point. And so being a web designer, so seeing you come in as a web designer into HighLevel, I can't even imagine how you feel, because if I had found HighLevel when I was doing that, I think my brain would have exploded, because it
Yeah.
really does solve all of the problems that web designers have. Because when you're building the website, it's like, I love that you call them growth sites, because you might build the website, you might design it, and it's all great, but they need calendars and they need forms and they need the automations and they need the CRM to respond and follow up. They need the whole package.
Yeah.
And so that's what allows web designers to earn the reoccurring income, because it's like you're building it in your own platform, you're hosting it in your own platform, and you don't have this back and forth with the clients where it's like, okay, now create this account and make sure to give me your login credentials and the two-factor authentication. It was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, that back and forth. And then you're trying to build the website and get logged into their account. It's 2 a.m. and now they're getting the two-factor authentication text message. Like, all of that stuff was such a headache. I literally decided from all of that, again, before HighLevel, I was like, this is not for me. I have to find another solution. So
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And I would love for you to talk to the people who are web designers right now, who are still piecing together all of this platform and maybe earning affiliate commission from all the different softwares. But talk about what that experience was like before HighLevel, and like how you've been able to streamline all of these processes with your own SaaS.
Yeah, yeah, you nailed it. I mean, some of the real painful parts were, we had to log in the middle of the night. We had to get them to send us the text message code, and we had to keep all the logs of all the different software platforms. I hated the dreaded call where I would have to call the client and say, that thing you wanted to do, or that thing that I didn't even think about, but then as we started working on this, now we need. It was like, well, it's this premium plugin and it costs. And they're like, okay, fine, I'll put my credit card out again. And the next thing you know, you were calling them for some hosting upgrade if they need it or something. That's what I love about HighLevel, is it's all here already for us. There's no mystery of what we're going to need to add on to this for the majority of businesses. And it also significantly streamlines the client's onboarding experience, because can't tell you the number of times over 12 years the client would go, I just don't understand where to find how to email them. And I'm like, well, then that's in MailChimp or whatever it was at the time, or that's an ActiveCampaign. And they're like, well, I'm over here in WordPress. What do you mean? How do I get there? And you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. One of my favorite phrases to say too to clients is, you can pull this up on your app on your phone, or you can pull it up on your computer. It'll all be here. And it's such a powerful thing to do. And I want to sort of, if it's okay, is kind of mention some of the things that held me back, because when I
Sure.
first heard about HighLevel, I started setting up clients on their own agency accounts. I mean, this platform, unlike some of the others that have been heavily marketed to us back in the day, this platform is truly designed for agency owners. And you don't even have to call yourself an agency owner. If you're a website designer, it's built for you to then serve your clients underneath you, which is such an incredible model. And so I used to just set up clients directly on their own agency accounts. And it was a commitment level fear. I was afraid that I would have to support them and be their tech support. And could I be their software provider? And was I able to go for the long haul? And it was a huge, huge identity shift for me from what I was doing. And it was an unlock, because I went from just building out the project and then collecting that recurring affiliate income, which is amazing. But it was kind of there. It was like it was done, like a grad school semester. I turned in the term paper. I'm done, professor. I'll see you on another semester, a different class. And I had to switch my thinking into, I am really someone's growth partner. I'm their digital architect. Whatever is built today is going to need to be expanded upon as a business grows in the next, 2, 3, 5, 7 years. And so when I started to take that on in the mentality that I'm a digital architect and not just a freelancer for hire, it made me realize like, oh, not only can I do this, but I should do this. That's why it's been designed this way, because these businesses aren't equipped to get in there and figure it all out themselves.
I love that you said that, Paige. And, being that we build complex systems and websites, and whether it's in WordPress or HighLevel, the consultative approach, a lot of times businesses don't know what they need, right? They don't, they think they need a new website, but they don't know all the things that potentially touch it, to your point with it, needing a plugin or a calendar, or forms and all the things, right? And so, um, just out of curiosity, more than anything else, are you building mostly in HighLevel, mostly in WordPress, or I'm sure that you probably do both still, but do you have a balance there or percentage that you're working with?
95% in HighLevel. Took me a little while to get there, but there's no real reason to build over in WordPress,
Mm-hmm.
uh, aside from a highly complex catalog. That we had a client come on that had about 150 product SKUs, and they needed to be referenced in multiple ways. I think HighLevel's e-commerce platform is coming along in that direction, but design wise at the time, that was our best bet. 95% of all of our other clients, they get built on HighLevel. I monitor and measure the refs, SEO index. I see the site scores, and they are no different if you do the right things.
And what are a few of those right things, just for people that don't know?
Yeah, well, when it comes to websites, you clearly need the right keywords in place. And it starts with the on page SEO, which means that, and I do see this mistake made. I even hired a team member who started making this mistake, is when you drag in an element on the page, there used to only be 3 elements that were text based, and now there's 4. But one was a heading, a subheading was number 2, and then paragraph. And what I was seeing was people were bringing in a heading, but then putting it down to size 12 font and calling it body text, but that's not categorized correctly for the hierarchy. It would be like taking college notes in a class, but everything's a bold headline. And so the search engines have no way of reading it. So you really need to utilize the different H1, H2, H3 beyond type tags and your actual just paragraph text. They did introduce a 4th element, which is rich text box that you can now drag in, and you can actually do multiple things in one box. I think that's a big one. And then, number 2 overall is, yeah, we're categorizing those things, but are we putting the header text as keywords that people actually search for? I think it's far too often that people build websites when nobody's asked that question, or it's a fancy idea of a headline that has nothing to do with what's on people's minds. And if we start thinking about what would somebody search in order to get here, we can start building that in. And then obviously next level is that each page on its own right has an SEO tab where you can put in the metadata and the tags and the description and fill all of that stuff out. That is just, can't be said enough. Definitely do that. That should be part of your workflow processes. So those are some essentials. And then of course you could go even deeper and set it up with Google Search Console tools. And then you could focus on backlinking and authority links and all that sort of stuff. So I don't want to get too techy, but I think one of the things too is people kind of stop themselves before they actually get going. Like I have so many people in my audience are like, well, which one should we build on? And I'm like, just go get a client. Like that's the first step. Then we'll talk about it. But I'm just like, don't be focusing on things that don't matter too much. Like go get the client, and then I'll guide you when you're ready for that part.
I heard Sean and Varun and Robin all talk about when they did their first pitch, and they were talking about HighLevel to this little small like hotel like meeting room, and people were signing up, but Varun was like on like the computer in the background, like signing people up and like building out the system as they're talking and like getting new customers. And I just think it's such a good experience and a good story to tell people, because oftentimes they do let these things stop them from progress. It's like, use a website template if you don't know how to build one. If you're insecure about SEO, then get the template built and then share it manually, organically. Just do it. Just make sure that you have something. Get the Google business listing up there. It's like you just need to get traffic, and then start working on, or before traffic, just start getting the sales. Get
Yeah.
the first customer.
Yeah.
That it's like what paralyzes them. What do you think that a person could do right now in 2026 to get their very first website client? Like where should they go? What should they look for?
Yeah. Okay, so this is great because yeah, this is important. And so many people say, uh, can you point me in the right direction for the resources to learn everything about HighLevel? And I always say no. I say, here is a behind the scenes video of a 10,000-foot view of what HighLevel can do. And if you understand that, if you understand, what's on the left menu, and generally what's possible, then you can get paid to learn the rest. And so if you're going to go out and get paid to learn the rest, you need to start conversations. And I really feel like if you're wanting to get your first or your next client, the best thing you can do is send videos. You can get on camera and you can send a video. You can look up businesses that either don't have a website and they should. For example, I just found a business the other day. They have a brick and mortar on a very busy street in our city. They have no website. They have an outdated Facebook page. They need help. You can reach out to them. You can give them some suggestions. You can even use the AI website and funnel builder inside of HighLevel to create a quick template in a couple of minutes and then share it with them and get that call booked. And then also too, I want to encourage you, if you're looking for your next website client, don't discredit businesses that already have websites, but those websites are not working for them. You never know until you reach out. You might think, oh, that looks modern, but is it actually doing anything? Does it have growth tools behind it? When you look at it and you see that they're scheduling on a calendar, or they have some sort of portal that people have to log into and there's a ton of friction, and you realize they're piecemealing 5-6 different tools together, you never know until you reach out. And I reached out to a client, prospect recently, and I said, hey, I can consolidate some of the things that you guys have going on and help you make more money from your current clients. This is what I'm seeing. By the way, you guys have a ton of good reviews, so you must have like a really good service. And it was after that conversation started, they said, oh yeah, actually, I know our website looks pretty modern, but it's 4 years old and it doesn't represent us at all. We bought this business and it has the original owner's face all over the website. Help us revamp it. And that project has gone on to be a very successful project for us.
I think a lot of times business owners just don't really know who to contact. And they also think it's going to be like $20,000.
Yeah.
And I think that just making the entry level introduction, it's like they could later on hear $20,000, but they don't want to hear 20,000 before they ever meet a person. I would pay Paige $20,000. I'm not going to just randomly think I need to spend $20,000 to build this website. But I also explain websites to business owners. It's like, it's not a business card, it's an employee that should be working for you 24/7. It should be collecting contact information. It should be answering questions. Do you know 70% of customers will click off of a website if they don't have an automated way to contact the business?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
very high bounce rates.
Yeah. So 70%, telling a business owner who doesn't have a chat widget, who doesn't have a form, that would you like to increase your sales by 70%?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer to them. If you told me that I could increase my sales by 70% by investing $20,000, I'm listening.
Right.
I'll figure out where to get the $20,000 from, but I'm listening because that is going to solve a problem that's going to increase my sales.
Yeah. And there are everyday businesses on Main Street that need their website to be more of an employee. They are holding down commercial leases. They're stuck in the past. They don't know, they're overwhelmed by the idea. And that's why your initial video outreach, I have this sort of acronym for HEART. Like, you need to reach out with heart. You need to be a genuine person who cares, because you are literally showing up out of the blue in their world. And if you don't come across as an authentic human being and that you actually give a darn about their business, why would they care to connect with you? The other thing I tell people is to stop framing it as, hey, I need you to do me a favor. Can you book a call on my calendar? Just kind of the mentality a lot of people go out with. Like, hey, can you just find some available time? When can you have 15 minutes to chat? Garbage. That's not going to work. What I tell my members of my community is position the call as the benefit. It is so beneficial to get on a call with you, to brainstorm with you about your business operations. I mean, I would find it beneficial, and I build these things for a living, but when somebody will carve out their precious time and talk through how do you respond to people when they first opt into your website? Do you even have an opt-in, right? Do you even send an automatic message when somebody becomes a customer? Do you follow up with those customers to let them know that they can buy more stuff from you? Do you ask for reviews automatically? Like, do you respond to those reviews automatically? When you start asking those questions, it's a brainstorming session, not a sales call. And in our community, we keep throwing around different words of like, it's a collaborative call. It's a co-discovery, because you're there. And I actually have this whiteboard system I've been sharing with people, which is like, pull it up, screen share it, put it up in front of them and start taking notes together. Like, you are brainstorming the evolution of what their business can look like online. And I think that's really important. And that's before you ever mention any kind of pricing. You're just seeing how creative can we get with what we can build for you.
Mm-hmm. I did a training the other day on the prospecting tool inside of the sub accounts now. And I think if I was a web designer starting my agency today, I would be using that prospecting tool, and that would be my lead magnet for services. Like, book a call, and I'm going to give you a free consultation and a marketing audit, and we're going to go through your business piece by piece. And then I'm, of course, going to tell you why I am the solution to every single one of your problems. And I'm showing you in this report physical evidence of where you're falling short, and I'm presenting to you all of my solutions. It's a perfect setup for that exact type of service, because they need to see it's a problem first.
Yeah.
And then they need to know you're the solution.
That's right. That's right. And then I guess the other thing I would add to that, and the prospecting tool in HighLevel is so affordable. So why wouldn't you give that a go and put your all into it and send out individual videos? Because I tell people, I'm like, just hit record on 1 to 2 minute videos and send them out, and people will give me that pushback. And I'm like, if one video lands you a $15,000 project, are you willing to spend 3 minutes in total to send it? And I would hope the answer is yes. And especially if you're getting started and you're not ready for Facebook ads or building things at scale, you just need that next client that you can serve in a big way and learn the system. That's definitely the way to go. So, but yeah, and I forget where I was going to go from there exactly, but it's like you said, it's that benefit to them to brainstorm on what you can possibly create. Oh, this was what I was going to say is, I also say, don't discredit how much that business can afford if you actually do the math. So for example, like one of our recent clients, their average ticket price is right around $3,000. But if they started selling more for the lifetime of the customer, I mean, they'd have a $12,000-$15,000 lifetime customer value. So what is a 10 grand project for them if one customer, by automating this stuff and not letting it slip through the cracks, is going to bring to them? And I shared it. We did math the other day on a call where we thought, what about dog grooming? It's like $100 every time you take like a big doodle, which a lot of people have, and they take them every 6 to 8 weeks. So I was like, guys, do the math. 6 to 8 weeks for the lifetime of a dog's life at 12 to 15 years. That adds up. And if you just start framing it, if I can just help you get your average customer lifetime value higher, then we can build this, and it's going to pay itself off with one of your raving clients sticking around because you actually took the time to automate some things.
Dog groomers, that's a great example, because I swear, I wish I could find dog groomers that have all of the right processes, or hair salons. It's shocking. It's how can you not find clients? I get that it's a sales thing. It's how do you approach them? How do you get them to pay attention to you? That's really the struggle.
Yeah.
Because if we're all looking for clients, I probably find 5 clients a day.
Oh, yeah.
It's salons that don't have automated booking. They don't have reminders. It's the dog groomers. You can't book online. It's like, again, all the reminders, all of these things that businesses would definitely benefit from. And we know, because we know the solutions, but they have no idea what is possible.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And I think I think to some degree, some of us that are sitting around and going, "Oh, I don't have a client." I mean, not me. I mean, I have to turn away clients at this point, but I think for the new person listening to this podcast and people who are so inspired, Bridget, by everything that you teach, and you teach all the insights and all the amazing things you can do in the platform. And if you're realizing, like, one question I always ask is, how many conversations have you had this week? And like you just said, we can look around and we can find businesses anywhere, but how many conversations have you actually started? And I think that is it's the muscle or the mindset bridge that you have to approach to stop being in the sauce of learning and actually actively go out there and actively pursue conversations.
Yeah, I think being a lifetime learner is where people they start going wrong. They think they need to be an expert in everything before they get their first customer. And I remember my first client meeting, oh my gosh, I was so nervous. I couldn't get my laptop to work. I don't know why I was even using my laptop to begin with. It was just a total train wreck. I did get that client, but it was a total train wreck, and I had no idea really all. I mean, I had an idea, but I really didn't, to say it honestly. I just was kind of like fake it till you make it. But I made
Oh,
it, so it must have worked. Something worked.
yeah, yeah, Bridget, you're killing it. But I think that's so valid because it's something we all have to be willing to do. Is just feel a little awkward to get to the end result. I mean, I remember when I was first cold calling, I legitimately did not even know what I was offering. If you know what you're offering and you have HighLevel behind you, you're unstoppable. But I had no idea. I would just call and just go, yeah, so I found you in the Chamber of Commerce and it looks like you do this really cool thing." And then I would try and build rapport really quickly. Like, I'm just calling because I didn't say I'm unemployed and I'll do anything, but I kind of sort of like just played the role of being a real person and saying, "So I see your website. What else do you do? Oh, you need video? Okay, I'll show up and do video." And I had those moments where, I mean, I'd show up. I bought these Sony cameras. I was so broke in California. I bought these Sony cameras that would overheat. I got booked to do a wedding, which I had no business at all recording somebody's wedding, and the cameras were overheating. I was sweating bullets the entire trip. That was the last wedding I ever did. But if I hadn't done that, I would have been stuck in learning mode. And I said, yeah, it's like saying yes to opportunities because just the momentum alone is worth it.
Does it feel like snapshots are either too basic to help or too complex to fit your business? Trying to untangle someone else's workflows can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be that way. I'm Marla, and I work with agencies and business owners to design and build custom CRM and AI systems that actually align with how you operate your business. If you're tired of trying to do it all yourself, let's connect. Reach out at marlaharmon.com. I was looking on your profile. You had a conversation on your profile with one of your students, and he had had a really good call with someone, and had sent them a Loom video, I think, and just followed your program, done the exact steps that you said. And I can't help but wonder, because I know I personally, coming from a technology background and a WordPress background and everything, transitioning from being a technician to being a business owner who's also selling your product. If you're anything like me, you talk too much. You are sharing like how the sausage is made. Like, nobody wants to know all the technical jargon that we use, and they need to be approached in a completely different way. Can you talk about how you help website developers or designers to transition from talking as a technician to talking as a business owner?
Yeah, yeah, I can. I'd love to. And thank you for asking. One thing is, whenever you do the initial outreach, you're not trying to sell the project. You're only trying to get them to see the value of moving forward on the next call,
Mhm.
and the call will be collaborative. So it's a value to them. I actually have a little framework. I wrote it down over here. that I'm working on. I was teaching a portion of this. I spent about 6 years teaching business owners how to do video. And that was all I taught. And now I'm moving into the high level space. And I retaught the framework as I had originally taught it. But I found that some of these outreach videos were becoming like 5 or 6 minutes long. Like you said, explaining literally everything about the platform, way too much overload, right?
Mhm.
So I've actually refined it into the heart approach so that you can actually show up with heart.
Mhm.
I do not want anyone to sound like a radio announcer when they send out these videos because it's about being a real human in today's AI era. And it stands for hero, elephant, add value, relate, and tell them what to do next. So, positioning people as the hero, I see far too many outreach videos where they're talking about themselves first. Like, hey, I'm so and so doing such and such. Aren't I awesome? Don't you want to listen to me?
I
Not
hate
the
that
right
in
way to start.
webinars too. Like
Yeah,
nobody cares about you. I
not the
mean,
right way to
we need
start.
to position, we need to be positioned, but
Yeah,
let's talk about that later. Like to get my attention, I need to hear how you're going to help me,
exactly.
not about you. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
In one way you can get somebody excited to actually listen is pay them a compliment, right? Like, hey, I see your dog grooming video business has 138 reviews. Fantastic. I also happen to notice, right, that we could do some cool stuff to grow your business online, right? And then E is elephant because I tell people all the time, you got to address the elephant in the room. They did not ask you to reach out. They were not expecting you to reach out. They don't know who the heck you are. And so address the elephant in the room. You need to quickly state what your purpose is and why you're reaching out. And I encourage people to go local. So you can, if you genuinely believe it, say it, right? Like, I'm reaching out to you because I can see that your business could use some help. I'm also a fellow, insert city name business owner, and I love helping others. And then A is for add value. And what I'd say is pull up their current online presence, whether it's their website or it's the prospecting tool and you're looking at the report, and just offer something of value. Like, I noticed here, if this was all you did, you would XYZ, you would increase reviews, or you would generate more leads from your website if you just did this. And then now you've opened up their brain of, wow, I guess I could do that. And I don't even have to necessarily work with you. The R stands for relate. So you relate it back to how this can uniquely solve their problems. You can relate it even to a case study that you've done. You could say something like, for example, we just did this with XYZ business, and drop the name of another business in that town, gives you some notoriety and some humble brag moments without just being like, I'm a web designer and I'm a digital architect. Just relate to them through the work that you've done by showing that off. And then you can also, too, you can relate the benefit of why it would be important to take a next step and have a collaborative conversation with you. And then T is just tell them what to do next. And I find that people often miss that, or they fumble it at the very end. They had a really powerful video where if I watched it as the business owner, I would think, that was incredibly generous. You told me I could do this thing on my website and it would help. And then they leave the end of the video and they go, so like if that maybe resonated with you, then you could book a call. And so I always have to kind of just tell them what to do next. By the way, there's a button below this video, and if you click on it, you can schedule a call and we will collaborate on ways that we can actually help your business grow. Excited to connect with you. Boom. Like, confidence, just here's what to do next. You can even tell people, I always say you can remove the mystery of the curtain of Oz by telling them what's going to happen after that. Like, you click this button, you do this thing, and then right after that, you're going to get an email from me, whatever it may be. You can just, or sort of like anticipate that happening, so you can tell them the very next step after that. So I hope that helped. But I was long-winded, but I get excited about this. I'm very passionate about this topic.
I, I
It
love
really
it.
did, because I, previously, like I said, transitioning from being a technician into being a business owner, that was one of the things that I had to completely shift my focus and my communication style when I'm on or communicating with a client. So that's great.
Yeah.
Paige, I absolutely love how you break things down. I can tell that you were a teacher. I also, when I saw you do that webinar, that workshop with HighLevel, and you were breaking down like your SOP, like the things that you have built and put in place for these different projects, I was like, where has Paige been all my life? I felt so inadequate when I saw what you had done, because I was like, I thought, I have this really cool template that I built on Canva. It's a website expectations brochure, and I'm very organized. I was in pharmacy and everything we had to document. And so I'm all about, processes and all of these things. But when I saw what you built, I was like, she's a genius. And like, I think we were maybe born sisters in another life or something because it was so awesome. And I could tell your experience from the way that you had structured everything. I love it. And I'm so glad that now you have started this community and that you're teaching other people this because it's so valuable. I think what you created definitely eliminates scope creep because that's also something that I experienced a lot when I was
Yeah.
building websites. You don't have a good structure in place before you do the website, and then the client's like, oh yeah, we decided we added on these 5 new products that we're going to sell, and we need a couple other like pages added, and can we go ahead and add this? And then, or you deliver the first mock-up and they respond and they're like, oh yeah, everything looks great, and then 2 days later oh yeah, I just noticed, can we change this and that and whatever? So I absolutely love that you created that, but I also know that you have to have experienced scope creep to create something like that. So would you please share at least one experience of scope creep, because some people may not even realize what scope creep is until you start explaining it, and then they're like, oh my gosh, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah. I experienced it a lot, and it always felt like one more thing, then one more thing, then one more thing. If you have a task list for what you're doing with the client, and all of a sudden that task list is growing as the project goes on, then you didn't clearly define scope in the beginning. So that's been a lot of conversations with people in my world these days is grab my proposal template and grab the client portal template. And my biggest shift, because it used to pain me because I wanted to do something really amazing. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea. And I thought it had to be all or nothing. It had to be launched and they paid me some money. And so I'll just do it anyway. And I'll suck it up, buttercup, and I'll just get it done. But that is not doing you a service at all. So it's got to start with, so that collaborative co-discovery call we talked about is where you get a sense for what they want built. You might talk about something, like you said, Marlo, you're like, I'm really technical. I wonder if they would want voice AI. And you can just tell it's not hitting them. Maybe later.
Mm-hmm.
Put it on. What I'll say in that collaborative call is I go, oh, okay, well, phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just move on. Just move on from it. If somebody's not buying what you're talking about, or they're not bought in on the conversation, they're not collaborating with you, they have no desire. And unless you can turn on a light bulb for them in a sentence, don't spend a lot of time on it. So then number 2 is you put the actual defined scope in the proposal. And this has saved me so much effort, because the scope that gets signed off on the proposal, it does 2 things. One is it allows you to charge more money. You know, the number of digital marketing, website design, agency contracts I've seen that are vague, 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 vague. Like a paragraph of like, we'll build you. No, I'm talking down to the number of messagings and the number of workflows and the number of calendars and what you have to also build to build out a calendar and the automated reminders, putting all of the details on it. And I have a good template people can pull from and then add to it or remove from it. And so, yeah, we'll say something like these 6 workflows, these are the general names of the workflows and what they do, like a no-show call cancellation workflow with up to 5 messages. And we get really specific. Then that goes into the client portal. So this is what has saved me, is inevitably through a project, a client will go, wow, it starts to click. It's like a puzzle coming together. Now the borders put together and the inner pieces are coming together. They can start to see the picture. That's when they're going to start asking you for more things. And so all we do is in the client portal is we have everything tagged as phase 1 that was signed off on in the proposal. And every new idea gets added. We go, awesome, client, putting it here as a task, phase 2. And so phase 2 tasks get bundled up and then they can get re-quoted for another price point.
Yeah, and to that point, you were talking about, after you start, they many times they don't see the vision until it starts to come together, and then it's like, oh, it'd be great if it could do X, Y, and Z, right?
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think it's true. the importance of proposals and putting a full scope, regardless of whether it's website or a custom CRM or AI. I mean, I've seen clients really want to go in a different path on AI, and so I think that's the new scope creep is AI projects. So I think just scope creep in and of itself is an amazing topic, and people could definitely benefit from like an hour or two of conversation here, and I'm sure you probably teach it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and nobody's perfect. There'll be the time where somebody
Mhm.
asks for something and you think that is little enough. I'm going to just do that. But I always still put it on this transparent client portal and I label it as phase two. And if I happen to take care of it, they've already known it's not what they signed off to pay for. It's a bonus. But yeah, you're very right. And I also I've seen people say you don't want that many details on a proposal, but you do.
Mhm.
Even down to the technical stuff. Like it'll say like DMARC records, DNS records, favicon. I've got all the stuff on there, all the technical bits. And you'd be surprised at the number of clients that have gotten to that proposal level that go, "Wow, you really know what you're talking about."
Mhm.
And then the number of clients, maybe different clients, they go, "Oh, that's a lot of work." Now they see why there's a high price tag on it because there is so much to do. And then we build transparently in front of the clients because we have the client portal. And it's like, I'm going to show you all 150 tasks that are going to be completed. You're only assigned to 3 of them, but you're going to see what's going on as we progress through this project. And it reminds them that there's a value and you're not just doing it in a vacuum behind the scenes and they think that you just like took them
Mhm.
for, their money. So
Yeah.
I love that. How do you position that in the client portal so that they see that?
so I'm using Notion. I've got a template. Anybody can grab it. It's like free in my community, but I basically they just get assigned kind of like a task item.
Mhm.
It's to me Notion is like I use it like Asana meets Trello meets Google Docs. I use it for everything for that. And so they'll see their little face bubble on the 3 tasks that are for them. And then normally what I do is I assign the rest to me and it depends on my comfort level with the client. I'll bring my team members into that or there'll be sort of duplicate versions of those tasks if we're going back and forth a lot that I don't want the client to see. But in most cases, it's totally fine to put team members on those. They're checking them off, they're building them, and then they get reassigned for review, especially website design. The pages need to be reassigned back to the client for review. And all of that is done through Notion on our project board.
Oh, so you use Notion, so not the HighLevel client portal.
No,
Okay.
I wish I
No,
could, but we have
it just blew my mind, and I was thinking, "How is
that would be
she?"
cool. That would be
That'd be
cool.
awesome.
Truly all in one. But yeah, so far, HighLevel and Notion and Canva are my, without a doubt, got to have them every day type tools. And I think too, Dubb is my last one. So for video outreach, it's a Loom equivalent. And once HighLevel can do that feature set the way they do, then
Mhm.
I'll be using HighLevel. So
Yeah,
uh,
Dubb is really
So
cool
what do you
for
love
sure.
about Dubb over Loom?
So I like that it creates the animated GIF that embeds itself pretty seamlessly if I just copy and paste inside of HighLevel.
Mhm.
And then unlike Loom, where the call to action is kind of on the video player itself or super small around it, the Dubb landing pages are branded for you. So when somebody clicks it open, they're not seeing Loom, they're seeing your logo. And then they're seeing a big button, like a really prominent button or even an embedded calendar. So I like the way that their instant landing pages are created. I think they're a step up from Loom and can keep people focused on what to do. Plus, it brands it for you. So not only do I use videos for outreach and prospecting and bringing somebody into my world, I also use videos, well, for our SOPs and our training. So if we're training a client on something, it's going on a Dubb page. Our brand is still on it and they get that. And then also for the proposals, a lot of people will have a really awesome call and send off a proposal and then they have crickets on the proposal. It's because if you only send a link to a proposal, most people click it. They scroll to the part where it's got the dollar sign on it. They maybe scroll back up, and maybe they just like get a moment of like freeze and like fight or flight. Like, I don't know, I'll decide on this later. And then they close it out. And then that's where you do a bunch of follow up. So what I do instead is I send a Dubb video And I say, I'm super excited to present this to you. This is why we considered the things in the proposal. Remember all the stuff we talked about on the collaborative call. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. And then that video says, so these are your next steps. It's that whole assuming the sale with confidence. And I go, so what you're going to do is you're going to click the button below and it'll open up this proposal I'm screen sharing with you. You're going to sign it. And as soon as you sign it, we're going to schedule your kickoff call. So they get the video first. When the email goes out, it's a link to the video. The button underneath that video has the link to the actual proposal for signature. So anytime they revisit it, if 3 days have gone by or 4 days have gone by, they're probably going to get a follow-up from me at that point. But when they go click on that email again to go, I want to check that out again, they see my waving, smiling face instead of just a document with text on it.
Yeah.
Something else I love to use Dubb for is when you are, let's say you get a new SaaS customer and you want to send them a message. Maybe you've noticed they haven't logged in or something. You can pair videos together. So you could create a video of yourself saying, hey, Paige, I saw you hadn't logged in. So I created this video to show you every step of the way, just to make sure you know where all your resources are. And then it will automatically start playing like a stock video that you have where it explains, your whole dashboard and all that. But to them, it seems like the seamless, conversation. And also it's the first thing that they see is your face and you're saying their name. So immediately they're interested.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
I love it. So Paige, can you share a little bit more about just you as a person? Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. And I grew up in your average middle class family. I've got 3 siblings. I was the sports kid of the family. So I played all the sports: soccer, basketball, volleyball, swimming. And I ended up doing rowing and lacrosse in college, triathlon. Like I just kept playing sports. I got an opportunity when I was in college. I actually stayed at home in my hometown university in Louisville and went here. And then now I'm a professor here and teaching a course adjunct. But I got an opportunity to do study abroad and an international exchange. So long story short, I ended up living in Florida, the Netherlands, Thailand as a Fulbright scholar, California, and a little bit of time in Brazil. So I was gone for about 10 years and then moved back. So I'm currently back in my hometown, living here and just feeling like a world citizen.
So you traveled the world and then came back home.
Yep.
So why home of all the other places in the world?
Well, family number one. I was tired of being the only one in my family that was missing all of the nephews' birthdays and siblings' birthdays and parents' birthdays. So family was the biggest reason for me. And then I had to evaluate, while I don't love winter here, not a fan. I do love that we have 4 seasons just for the charm of having 4 distinct seasons. And Kentucky, although people think of us as the South, we're sort of actually in the middle ground between North and South. But we do have that Southern hospitality vibe. So people here are really kind. And then a little known fact about Louisville is that UPS is headquartered here. And so we have some of the best and freshest foods in the country because they all come through the UPS airport, right, like 6 miles from me. And so our restaurant scene is phenomenal. So I'm a big foodie too. So I just think we have really a lot of things for what we call like a small town, big city. We've got all the arts and all the fun things to do here. So I'm a fan. I've traveled a lot of the world and I can tell you a bunch of countries that check off a lot of boxes. And then it has given me a lot of appreciation for my hometown.
So if you were to choose a location just based on the location alone, what would you choose?
Family aside, Portugal. I would probably set up camp in Portugal for sure.
What is it about Portugal?
It's okay. The first thing I noticed was that obviously Europe is a lot older. I've spent a lot of time. I backpacked Europe. I couch surfed Europe when in my 20s. I actually stayed on strangers' couches. It was like before Airbnb. So Europe is obviously older, cobblestone streets, etc. Something about Portugal, the first thing I noticed was how tidy everything was. everything is pristine. There's so much sort of like care in not having litter around and really taking care of the finer details in a city that has older streets. It was really clean, really safe, multicultural, lots of English, and then it's sunshine and beautiful weather. So like I don't know if you could ask for anything more. I just thought everything about it was really nice. But that's I think the care people take in things, you don't even see that in Kentucky as much. You know, you'll walk down a really nice park and you'll see somebody left some trash. And I just didn't see that in Portugal. I just thought it was a really incredibly like spiffed up place to be.
So what's the goal, Paige? In the next 5 years, usually when I do a private consultation with people, I ask like, what's the goal? If you imagine yourself, you're laying in bed, the alarm clock goes off, the first thing that you think of is what you have to do that day. Like, what would make you jump out of bed super excited to get started with your day? Because if I said, Paige, the summit's tomorrow, we're all flying to Dallas, you're going to be so excited, and
Yeah.
I'm going to be excited. But what would bring up like that level of excitement where you just cannot wait to get started?
Yeah. It's always about other people. So having some kind of event, I think about this vision too of me like waking up in a day and going for a walk with the dog, like, you know, kissing on my significant other and playing a lot of good music, having really good food, and then having a place to be where other people are growing as well. So whether that's a Zoom workshop or a coaching call or an event in the city or in another city that I'm traveling to bring people together in a room, it's going to be something about HighLevel and talking tech and building out systems. And then also the mindset growth of what it takes to, you know, stay committed to your vision. So yeah, it's all of those things. It's definitely coming down for me of being surrounded by other people that are aiming for similar goals.
I feel the same way. That's a really good way to put that too. It's like sometimes we just don't know where we're going, but we do know the requirements when we get there. Like we need to be around people who are growing. We need to be around people who have similar interests. But I love that you said music and all of that, because all of the business stuff is super fun and great. But we need to relax too. We need to
Yeah.
have things in our lives that bring us joy, that bring us peace and relationships and all of that. So I love that.
Totally. And I got to say, Bridget, you know, today even I don't, maybe 5 years from now might, or maybe 6 months from now might be that idyllic experience where I don't have things on my calendar that don't just feel like to dos. Today I had some to dos, but the thing that got me most excited was I can't wait to go on this podcast with Bridget and
Yeah.
Marla. And so this was one of my like really excited and fired up. Can't believe we get to just hang out and have conversations kind of experience.
Well, I'm so glad. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I feel like now everybody gets to be kind of like we brought them to the table of just the normal conversations that we have. So thank you so much, Paige, for joining us today for this episode of Leverage and Lead podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for being here.
Bye. Well, another great episode. I absolutely loved talking to Paige, but then I always love talking to Paige.
She was great. I tell you, it's another guest where I think, gosh, there's so many questions that I still want to ask. You know, we barely touched on her sports career, and it would have been so great to know more about that.
She just has so much experience and she's so intelligent and she's beautiful. So it's like, I don't know how God blessed her with so much in one person, but I just adore her. And the very first time that I met her, I was just impressed by her, just how she carries herself and her experience. And, she has 2 master's degrees, but it also reminds me that a lot of times people go to college and they spend all of this time and work and money to get this education. And then they realize, hey, I'm actually an entrepreneur. But how much of that, I mean, it's not for nothing. I went to college too. And I think what I learned a lot was, now keep in mind, I was 30 and it was when I got my first computer when I was 30. So I learned a lot about how to use the computer, not just use it for games and fun or Facebook, but it was use it for work,
Mhm.
actual practical applications. But that's about as far as I went. I went to school for Christian counseling, so this has nothing to do with what I'm doing essentially. But I love to hear stories from people who went to college and then now they're actually entrepreneurs, business owners, not really using their
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah. And, I went back to school just so that I could prove to myself that I had a degree and the validation that I wanted. And I did actually use it for one job when I worked in government. And then when I left government, I've never had to show it. And it really was an expensive life lesson to check a box. And, I think if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, get out and just go for it. And I feel like the good thing is that more and more people are starting to recognize that. But I think, all of those experiences that we get through education, though, they do apply. And, you can tell that she's very well educated and, is bringing a lot of value to her community. So that's at the
Mhm.
end of the day is great. So if
And
you
you can
haven't checked
tell.
out her, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I just was going to say, you can tell by the way that she organizes things. You can tell that she has experience in teaching because when you teach something, you have to understand it on a much deeper level to be able to explain it to someone. But it's even deeper than that. It's like if you see what she created for her client portal on Notion, you can
Mhm.
see it on the workshop she did with HighLevel, but she breaks it down, and you can just tell like her experience in
Mhm.
just that. You can tell her experience, but you can also tell her experience with teaching people things. And it's like maybe not teaching her team, but the business owner, teaching them what is involved in this project so that they can actually see what is being done. They can see where their money is going. That
Mhm.
part, it really takes a lot of time and experience to figure out how to break down something that is seemingly complex with lots of moving parts in a way that non-techie people can get it. They understand it.
Mhm. And that's kind of where we were talking about the sausage being made. They don't need overcomplicated explanations. And also, th- being able to explain it in ways that they can understand so that they can see the vision and the potential of the project is amazing. And I think she probably does an amazing job of with her community to make sure that they know how to build or what to expect and also how to set those expectations for their potential clients.
Yeah. I'm excited for her to be in the community. I'm not
Yeah.
building websites as an agency anymore, but the
Mhm.
value that she has to share, there's so many of them. So
Mhm.
the value she has to share is going to save them so much time and money.
Yeah.
Just jumping over hurdles that she's already jumped over and laid all
Mhm.
those things in place. So if you can't
I love it.
tell, I adore Paige.
We're fans.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Mhm.
thank you all so much for joining us for yet another amazing episode of the Leverage and Lead podcast. So, we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join the Leverage and Lead private community for live coaching 4 days a week at leverageandlead.com. We'll see you inside.